Hey everybody, Tom Barnes, stories from the 78 in the Avondale neighborhood outside of the alley. And if you're looking at this right now, you're seeing what the alley looked like on the part of Clark and Belmont where it was. I mean, the hearse, the Kurt Cobain, you got Jim Morrison back there. Mark Thomas celebrating 49 years this year, the big 5-0 next year. He's got a really great CBGB exhibit. It's a permanent exhibit that is inside the space. So we're going to talk to Mark now for this story from the 78 here at the alley. All right, inside the legendary alley, you're looking at another legendary piece from 73 to 2006. CBGB was the punk mecca spot in New York City, and we got a little slice of it here at the alley. I'm here with Mark Thomas. How are you, sir?
I'm great. How are you, Tom? What's happening?
I love coming here, love hanging out with you, and you got this new exhibit that I'm not going to even begin to ask how you got your hands on something from this legendary place. You know people in places.
Well, it was an auction.
Sure,
so,
okay.
So they, the family auctioned off stuff, and I bought it at auction. I got tipped off that it was going to happen, but I paid real money for it.
And so where was this particular sign on the building?
There was 3 CBGB signs. There was one for the gallery, there was one for the shop, and there was one for the venue. They were all right next to each other. The venue one is actually in the Rock Museum.
Oh, and the Hall of Fame Museum in Cleveland, yeah.
In Cleveland. And then somebody else here in Chicago bought the other one, and I bought the shop.
All right. And you got a little display of things.
So we got all kinds of stuff here. I mean, like somebody was pitching Hilly. I knew Hilly well.
Yeah, and this is Hilly up here. You have
this
a picture
is Hilly up there.
Yeah. Who passed on right after.
Yeah, 4 or 5 years later. Yeah. He didn't last very long. So, like, these were shoes that somebody pitched him on for CBGB shoes, except they had to have somebody, every band had to okay the shoes, so the shoes never got made. So, these were all stickers. People gave Hilly gifts. Look at all the tickets here. Adam Ant, all these were gift tickets. Most of them say Comp on them. The Who, the Butthole Surfers, Troops of Doom, Joan Jett, Styx.
Ace Frehley.
They were all giving him, they all wanted Hilly to be part of who they were. These were stickers that, he had stickers all over the wall behind his desk. Here's the CBGB belt buckles that we made, and we made a pin for him and a necklace. People gave him a bunch of backstage passes so he could get backstage, and he wasn't one of the regular guys. So,
and then what do you got up here?
So this is some jewelry. So CBGB had the shop. The 2 pieces on the left are things that we made that were in his shop. The things on the right were a guy came into our booth in New York at the time, or actually it was Las Vegas by that time, and he wanted CBGB to sell the stuff. He says, you got to go talk to Mark. He's the one that makes the jewelry. And they gave me the samples, but the stuff was impossible to cast. The guy disappeared. And, so there's pictures of a lot of the people who performed at CBGB. Elvis Costello.
I mean, what are your memories of that place?
Oh, my God. It was a tornado looking for someplace to happen when the front door opened. It was just always up for grabs. He had a real strong crew. They knew how to handle people. People respected the institution. They respected Hilly. He was loved. And it was really a neat place to go.
And you said all of these photos that are in this display are bands that played there at one time or another. And
right.
You've got some bands that are like historic. I mean,
yeah. I mean, and by the way, these photos were shot by Paul Natkin, who's a Chicago photographer. Most of them were not shot in CBGB, but we were able to get really good photos of the bands that shot there. These are some albums from CBGB.
You got a little explanation of what it was.
Well, here's the history of CBGB.
Yeah, right there. So for folks who don't know CBGB, you mentioned what it was like. What does CBGB stand for, and what is the
original? And I always kind of blow it, but it was country, bluegrass, something. So it was not originally a punk bar, and he was starving, and so the punk bands would come in and rent the place just for a single, event, and then eventually he saw the way, and he saw that the punk stuff was hotter than the other stuff, and so he just converted over in CBGB, and he just made it all happen.
Unbelievable. And here's some of the other things on display, some contracts for bands performing at CBGB, right?
Well, these were actually, he also was involved in some venues. So that was like the Clash was too big to play at CBGB, but he had the relationships. So these were all, contracts for the bands.
And all of this memorabilia here.
Yeah, the residents were like big friends of his, and a big thing in New York.
Look at all this. I mean, look at some of the bands that are up on here. That's incredible.
It is incredible. And that poster was behind his desk. When you look at pictures online of him sitting at his desk, that poster was behind his desk.
Wow. And then talk about these novellas here. What are these?
You know what? People just gave him gifts of art and zines, and we've got art of his in the background. It kind of goes on, These were stickers people gave him, which he was just really into this funky art collection thing.
What's your favorite piece that you have here?
I think the shoes always remind me of Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz. I think that's my favorite of everything.
And then also, the alley.
Yes.
49 years.
49
You're
years.
Be 50 next year.
Yep.
And you just kind of refreshed the space here a little bit. So if folks haven't been here in a couple months or a year or two.
Yes, there's been a dramatic changeover in the whole store.
Why don't we do a little walk and
yeah,
talk? Yeah,
come
what
on.
do we want? And I noticed you got some.
So we've brought in a bunch of horror creatures, and we've always had like the Predator. We used to have the Alien, so we've always had a little bit of that horror side to us.
Absolutely. I love these things over here. The husband and wife.
Yes. So it's
Predator over there. Let me make sure I get them all. But yeah, this is fantastic. This is what makes the alley the alley. And you mentioned the punk scene in general.
The punk scene in general is just, I think the anger in society is just propelling punk to a new thing. This is all stuff from Alchemy. In about 2 weeks, we're going to announce that we found about 1,000 pieces of Alchemy jewelry from the late 1990s.
Wow.
And a lot of it is just collector's pieces going for big money. So we'll be putting that up for sale in the store. When we closed down the big store, there were just boxes. We're still unboxing things from 15 years ago, and we found all this great Gothic stuff. I mean, there was one piece that's worth almost $1,200 on eBay today.
Wow. And this is some more of it?
Yeah, this is more. Almost all of this is Alchemy over here. He was so good that, I think that he actually got knighted by the Queen for the work that he did in the jewelry world.
Look at that piece right there. Something like you saw during like the Spanish flu.
Yep. So, the alley has always been famous for leather coats. And we are continuously designing and redesigning. We do buy some leather coats here in America, but most of what comes in, we have made overseas to our designs. A lot of it is we go back into history and we revive things that were, working, 30, 40, 50 years ago, and then we kind of modernize it and bring them back out. We do this Bones jacket. Rob Zombie was a big customer of the alley, and, so he came in and he bought this Bones jacket from me, and then he wore it in an MTV video, and over the next 3 or 4 years, we sold thousands of these jackets, and they weren't even a popular jacket at the time. But once Rob wore it in the MTV thing, it
took off, huh?
It was rocket ship.
And you guys do a lot of your own jewelry here
we
as well,
make a lot
right?
of our own
I think
jewelry.
A lot of people don't realize that.
Yeah.
You guys,
we make all these belt buckles.
All of them right here in
Yep.
Chicago, not let alone the U.S., but right here in Chicago.
In the building.
Yeah, in the building. That's fantastic.
I mean, this is something we made stuff for the Misfits. This buckle's 25 years old. We just found it in the back room. I mean, it's crazy.
That'd be fun to be keep finding things in the back room.
Oh my
back
God!
room
We're still going through stuff. So we have walls of jewelry.
Yeah, I'm just gonna get a little peek over here. Look at all this
And
stuff.
so we even have a mold up on the wall so people understand that, you know, we are the real McCoy. We actually make some of this jewelry here in the store.
I love the Drac dolls.
Right, 1985.
Ah,
we bought like the whole world kind of supply of them, and we've been selling them off over the last 3-4 years, and they're starting to come to a point where they're going to be saying goodbye. You know.
So for folks, you know, who are watching this, punks, this is a place where not only are they welcome, but curated for, and these are some of the things that you're talking about as far as what they're wearing.
Yeah, I mean, this is Trip Clothing. He's been a vendor of ours for 30 years. You know, this wall of Demonia shoes. We've been a customer of Demonia for 25 years, probably the biggest selection in America.
And I love the new decor.
Yeah.
But this is I mean, this is like Neo nightclub stuff from back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it weird? You've been around long enough where you've seen things come and go as far as
come and
fashion.
go and come and go.
Is it strange to keep seeing it repeating itself?
No,
Is
it's
it
not.
fun?
Actually, you know what? If you study history, you'll be able to predict the future.
True, yeah.
So it's really true. You know, we've expanded.
So this is the part that's fairly new as far as how much you can go back here and.
Right.
I mean, look at this stuff. This sweater. I mean, I can see that in a music video right now.
Oh yeah.
And then you got definitely all sorts of things here for whatever you want to do. We got a little critter guy up there. That's fun. But all this stuff, this is what I was talking about. I love that.
Isn't that great?
Kind of looks like the face from Maximum Overdrive.
Yep.
And then the space. So you recently, you've been making up some T-shirts that have been giving you a little buzz, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, you know, we decided that, you know, the Alley really has a powerful social media, you know, channel, and so we started to do this. So we did this shirt, did really well. We are not your pawns, eat the rich. So this was a quote from a French revolutionary who died in 1778, 2 years after America was born.
Wow.
You know, this shirt here has quotes from people like Mark Twain. Patriotism is supporting your country all the time and your government when it deserves it. Abraham Lincoln. The people are the rightful masters of both Congress and courts, not to overthrow the Constitution, but to overthrow the men who preserve it. Or pervert it, not preserve it.
I mean, and that kind of speaks to a lot of the feeling right now. I mean, is that what you feel, or is that what you see people coming into the
people
store
are
here?
angry, they're hurt, they're scared, they're confused. You know, it's like, what's the news today? How does that affect me?
Yeah.
How much is it going to cost me for a can of soda? How much is it going to cost for eggs? You know, why are chickens so expensive? You know, I mean, it's becoming a less and less affordable world.
And that's why, I mean, those shirts right there you just showed me, $10.
$10. Well, we did them cheap because it wasn't about making money. It was about making a statement.
Yeah.
And the Alley was
Being
making
punk.
a statement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what you guys have been doing for almost 50 years.
Right, and then this is our big logo room. So we've done some really crazy stuff. So like the shirt I have on is what we call monster shirts, which, you know, a very close relative of mine actually followed in my footsteps. We were printing big shirts 40 years ago, and he hacked an old machine and he started printing these big shirts for us. So all of those shirts over there, I mean, this is what's really blowing out. I mean, we still sell our regular shirts, but, you know, you just don't see these. We call them monster prints.
Just because, yeah, they're the entire footprint of the front of the shirt here. Mark, why do you keep doing this? You've been doing it for a long time, and you've had to. You know, you were in Belmont
and Clark, and I've gone through 15 surgeries, getting ready to do another surgery. You know what? My customers love me. I love them, and they keep me alive. You know, we also have 100 music and art studios in the building. We have 300 tenants here. So we have a secondary community here to the alley, and we've
It's
been
almost like a colony.
It is. Well, it's called the Art Colony next door.
Yeah.
Then we just came up with these tattoo shirts. So if you look at them carefully, you'll see behind the print. And these are all old pieces of art that have been embossed into black shirts.
Oh, that's cool.
So that instead of just a plain old black shirt, now you've got something that's, you know,
got a little texture to it, a little
it's
hidden
got
meaning,
texture.
yeah.
It speaks for itself. And then we actually did some red ones. The red ones have been on fire.
Look at that. Those are fantastic. Not only an artist colony, but also, I would almost argue, a community hub for folks who belong to this community, who want to be. I mean, you guys, you welcome all, right?
You know what it says on the front door? It's a safe place for weirdos, freaks, and misfits. It means, and we've heard this. You know, why do I keep doing this? Because people come in and they tell me, you know, when I was a young kid, nobody understood me, and this was a safe place for me to be. And I walked in here, and people embraced me, and nobody made fun of me, and I could be myself. And that's what the alley's always been about.
And you're going to celebrate 50 years next year.
Yep.
And you've had a couple block parties out front where you truly welcome the community. I've been to them.
And
they're fantastic.
And it's all free. You know, we don't ask anybody for a penny. You know, it's just an alley party, and you know, it's just a party.
People want to buy stuff online. I know you have a lot of stuff
Yep.
on there. What's the way to go to find that?
It's thealley.com. I mean, we don't have the clothing and the shoes there. It's really all the stuff we make. It's the T-shirts and the belt buckles and the hoodies and the long sleeves and necklaces. So it's the stuff that's made in this building.
But that's why they got to come here. They
gotta-
got to visit the alley, legendary place.
If you want the clothing and the shoes, you got to come here. If you just want a T-shirt or a buckle, you can go online, and there's lots of great stuff there. But it's, you know what, if I was to support the website with everything that we've got in that store, I'd need a space 10 times the size of the alley to rack it up, and I'm too old for that.
Mark, always a pleasure talking with you. Thanks for the tour. And the CBGB's exhibit
It's
is
permanent.
Yeah, and you're going to have an alley one coming soon. Yeah?
And we're working on an alley one. You'll be able to see a picture of me as an infant, as an 8th grader, you know, senior in high school, you know, some of the first pictures of the very first factory, the picture of the first alley in Woodfield Mall.
Yeah, I remember that story.
Yeah, so you'll see it all. The history of the alley will be on display.
Well, congratulations on 49. Here's looking to the 50th and beyond.
Thanks, Tom.
Yep. All right, that is the story from the 78 here at the alley right on Fletcher in the Avondale neighborhood. TomBarnesChicago@gmail.com. If you have a story from the 78 suggestion, hit me up at the website storiesfromthe78.com. We'll see you later. You got to check it out, though. This is a true gem of Chicago, my friends.